Have you ever wondered what it would be like if a loved one returned from the grave? This is not your average bedtime story, but a tale that treads the line between fascination and fear. It's a concept that dares to explore the uncanny, the eerie idea of the dead coming back to life. It's an unsettling question that has haunted our minds and our dreams. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? But what if it became a reality? Imagine a couple deeply in love, their lives intertwined. Picture their laughter filling the air, the way they look at each other with a warmth that could melt the coldest of hearts. They are young, vibrant, and full of dreams. Their love story is the kind that makes poets reach for their quills, the kind that fuels 1,000 songs. Now let your mind wander into their shared dreams. A small house with a white picket fence, the patter of tiny feet, and a dog named Rover. They make plans for vacations to places with names they can barely pronounce. They dream of growing old together, of watching sunsets from a porch swing, their hands still intertwined, just like their hearts. But, as is often the case, life has other plans. In the middle of a perfectly ordinary day, tragedy strikes. One moment they're planning their next vacation, the next one of them is gone, taken by a cruel twist of fate. The remaining one is left with shattered dreams, a future that was meant to be shared, now left unexplored. The world keeps spinning, oblivious to the pain of a love cut short. Friends offer condolences. Life goes on, but the void left behind is too vast, too deep to fill. The echoes of shared laughter turn into a haunting melody of loneliness. And just like that, life was shattered, a future left unexplored. Then, one eerie night, the unthinkable happened. A night not unlike any other since the tragic parting was about to turn ordinary into extraordinary. The moon hung low, casting long, finger-like shadows that danced on the walls. The wind howled through the trees, whispering secrets to those daring enough to listen. Suddenly, a knock on the door echoed through the silence, shattering the tranquility like a stone through a glass window. Heart-pounding, our protagonist approached the door, a mix of trepidation and curiosity painted across their face. As they swung the door open, the sight that met their eyes was beyond comprehension. Standing there, as if not a day had passed, was their dearly departed lover. The shock was a thunderbolt, petrifying them on the spot. Their eyes, wide with disbelief, scanned the familiar face, the gentle smile, the same eyes that they'd thought they'd never see again. The world seemed to spin on its axis, reality bending and twisting into unimaginable shapes. This couldn't be real, could it? Was it a trick of the light, a cruel prank, or perhaps just a figment of their grief-stricken imagination? But as they reached out, their hand met with warm flesh, not cold air. The sensation was a jolt, a spark of life in the gloom of their lonely existence. Slowly, disbelief started to melt away, replaced by a rising tide of joy. Their heart, once a barren wasteland, was now a blooming garden, filled with the sweet fragrance of hope. They embraced their lost love tightly, the warmth of their body a stark contrast to the chill of the night air. But as the initial shock subsided, a sense of unease began to creep in. Their lover was the same yet different. Their touch was warm, but their gaze was cold. Their smile was familiar, yet their laughter echoed with a strange hollowness. The joy of reunion was overwhelming, but something was not right. As days passed, the returned lover seemed different. The once warm smile was replaced with an eerie grin that seemed to stretch a little too wide. The gentle touch now felt icy and distant, and the once sparkling eyes held a strange, inhuman glint. The surviving lover found themselves in a quandary. Was this the person they had loved so deeply, mourned so profoundly? Or was it a cruel joke played by fate? The more they tried to reconnect, the more they were met with a chilling aloofness that sent shivers down their spine. There were other signs too. The returned lover had developed an uncanny, nocturnal preference, their appetite for food replaced by an unsettling thirst for something more sinister. Their laughter echoed hollowly, their voice a chilling whisper that seemed to echo from the depths of a forgotten abyss. As suspicion turned into fear, the surviving lover decided to seek answers. The truth, when it was finally unveiled, was far more terrifying than they could ever have imagined. Their beloved, their returned lover, was no longer human. They had been transformed into a spectral entity, a being from the underworld. It was as if their soul had been replaced, their human essence hollowed out and filled with a dark matter that was as fascinating as it was terrifying. The person they had loved was gone, replaced by a creature of the night, a being that belonged more to the realm of shadows and whispers than to the world of the living. And so, the horrifying revelation was made. The person who had returned was not the lover they had lost. They were something else entirely, something dark and twisted, something that lurked in the shadows and thrived in the darkness. The beloved had returned, but not as a human, rather as an entity from the underworld. Caught in a nightmare, the surviving lover had to make a fateful choice. In the heart of terror, the world as they once knew it had been turned upside down. Love transformed into chilling horror. The figure they had once held dear, the one they had mourned, was now a frightening spectre of the past. In the throes of disbelief, their mind raced, teetering on the precipice of sanity. The spectre, once a source of comfort and love, now stood as a grotesque parody of the past. The surviving lover stood frozen, their heart pounding in their chest, their blood running cold. The air was thick with dread, a silence hung heavily between them. The spectre reached out, its cold, ghostly fingers seeking contact. But this was not the loving touch they once knew. It was a chilling reminder of the line they were about to cross. A line between the living and the dead, reality and nightmare. A line that once crossed could never be retraced. Their mind screamed to run, to escape, but their heart held them in place. This was their love, wasn't it? But love was not supposed to be this terrifying. It was not supposed to be a choice between life and a haunting afterlife. The moment hung in the air, a snapshot of horror and indecision. And then, with a breath that felt like their last, they made their choice. They stepped back, away from the spectre, away from the past. They chose life, chose reality over the chilling embrace of a ghostly nightmare. The spectre's form wavered, a look of betrayal and sorrow crossing its face before it faded away, leaving the surviving lover alone in the chilling silence. Their heart ached with loss, but also with relief. They had faced their fear, faced the impossible, and survived. In love and fear, the line between reality and nightmare blurred. This terrifying tale serves as a reminder of the thin line between life and afterlife. Sometimes it's better to let the dead rest. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your lights on.